Welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV television and radio.
Coming up in the program this morning, the newly elected president of the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, Slaj Alhaji Manika Kamara, will be speaking on his plans for the organization.
Sierra Leone Talent Search, a nationwide competition spearheaded by Cribs International, has reached its final. So this morning we'll talk about the competition in a bid to train the next generation of musical stars as part of its targets. We'll also be speaking to some of the contestants. And with barely few hours to the official launch of Housemate Sierra Leone Season 4 at Chapter 1, we will be discussing the build-up.
Indeed, we shall be discussing the twists and turns for tonight, indeed. Here this morning on the program, Wake Up Sierra Leone. We entreat you, we invite you, hospitably so, to join us on online platform, Facebook. It's AYV News. Go there and drop your comments this morning. In our very first segment, we have been joined by the newly elected president of the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, Slaj Alhaji Manika Kamara. The president is here to talk about his plans for Slaj. Slaj is the second oldest journalism association in West Africa after the Ghana Journalism Association. Good morning, Alhaji.
Good morning.
Congratulations indeed on your election.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel to have been graced or bestowed upon this very sacred and huge responsibility to lead a community of highly, educated personalities?
I feel blessed as a very young man to be the president of this highly educated association, wherein we have people with PhDs, masters, lecturers, commissioners, and the rest. Yet the membership decided to vote me in as their president as a very young man. So I feel blessed.
What motivated you, one may want to ask? I mean, you're quite a young man, why did you want to subject yourself through this process, becoming a president?
Having served the executive for 6 interrupted years diligently, I discussed with some members when I was elected as the Secretary General in 2022 in McKinney about the future of Slaj, and we started discussion quietly about who should succeed the outgone president. So we ended up by saying that, okay, let's observe and see the people that will be coming up for the position. And 1 year later, we did not see any convincing candidates, and then I started not seeing the ambition because I've been serving, like I said, the executive diligently, and I stand to be corrected that I've been the most successful assistant and Secretary General of Slaj, who have served the president for 6 years without any issues. Yes, we have some internal disputes, but we handle them internally. It has never been to the attention of the membership, neither the public. So I was able to manage the executive for 6 years without any problem. So having gone through that sojourn, so I thought it fit that I should give it a try because I believe Slaj deserves somebody who is selfless, someone who is determined, and someone who knows about the association to take it forward. So I haven't considered all those things, and then I discussed, of course, with my wife, and she gave me her blessing, and then I said, okay, let me give it a try. Here we are today as the newly elected president of Slaj.
Yeah, all fun is over. Yeah. Time for play is done. It's now time to work. What are your immediate priorities for Slaj?
Even before the official handing over, last Friday I've been started working. I traveled to Ghana where I presented the association, and then upon my return, I returned on Thursday, and on Friday the handing over took place at the Bintumani Hotel. The very Friday at 11:30 p.m. I traveled with the Executive Secretary of the Independent Media Commission to the province to continue with the consultation exercise of the Review IMC Act of 2020, which is a recommendation of the Tripartite Committee, to be specific, recommendation 76. So I was with them throughout the week, and today again I will be with them again to conclude the process in Freetown. And my immediate priority is to make sure that the safety and security of journalists, the welfare are met. And during my campaign, I promised about gender equality in the media. As I speak, just the start of this week, we launched the invitation for female journalists across the country to apply for digital literacy training that was funded by the European Union through the BBC Media Action. And I'm sure we've received well over 100 applications from female journalists across the country, and the deadline will be on the 30th of July. So, and then my other priority is to make sure that I signed MOU with all universities and colleges across the country that are offering courses on mass communication and journalism, because I want to make sure that before the 2028 general elections, the journalists are well afraid with the issues, because there is no way we can give what we don't have. So my focus for now is to see how best I can look out for training opportunities for my members so that we can be on top of the situation. There is no way Jones or Phoebe can sit here if you don't know exactly what you want to ask. So that is my priorities for now.
The leadership of President Ahmed Said Nasrallah recorded, again, you were part of that executive, recorded one significant success that previous executives had tried but couldn't successfully see to completion. That's the repeal of Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act. What sits prior to the end of term of former President Ahmed Said Nasrallah is this conversation on the law on terrorism. What would you be doing in this regard? And
even before the membership voted me as the president, I've started the conversation. We'll be calling on the president, to be specific, for him to make sure that the documents before him now is being done in line with the African model, because we raised some issues. We submitted a position of paper to the leader of government business and the opposition, and also the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, and they all assured us that the documents before the president now was enacted in Parliament using the African model that provided definition for terrorism and all other things, including those that has to do with press freedom, because we have 3 issues with that particular bill. Because as a journalist, we don't believe we should be described as terrorists while we are out there covering riots or protests. But according to the bill that was discussed in Parliament, a journalist, if you are caught during a protest or riots, you'll be described as a terrorist, which for us is very, very unfair. So, but they said they amended that section. We are yet to see the final document that was presented to the President. And before that, even that again, we've issued a joint press statement with the Federal condemning the bill, calling on the President to see how best he can go through the bill and make sure that it was done based on the African model. I will continue to engage the relevant stakeholders to make sure that if, let's say, for example, the bill is being signed by the President as it is, we'll continue the lobbying. That is not the only concern we have. We also have concern with the Cyber Crime and Security Act. Again, we have clause 44, that we have so many issues which we are still calling on the government and the relevant authorities to see how best we can amend that law. We don't need to wait for another 50 or 55 years to get it amended, because all we need now is progressive laws. We don't need laws that will restrict press freedom, because like you rightly said, in 2020, the government of Sierra Leone repealed Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act that criminalizes free speech. So we don't want any other law that will come in disguised form to criminalize free speech.
What would be your approach to getting this done? Before the repeal of that Part 5, they had come up with the cybersecurity law, aiming that it would be a solution to the vacuum, perhaps, the good parts of Part 5 were addressing, but then the cybersecurity itself brought its own problems. And that negotiation has been ongoing back and forth with the government. Yet it's hard to quantify a tangible result from that negotiation. And now there's the terrorism bill coming to add to that. What would be your approach if this diplomacy method isn't working?
For me, I believe it will work because it's based on the diplomacy method that we used in 2020 that we were able to convince the government to repeal the law that most people thought if they repeal it, the media will go haywire. But I can bet anybody that since 2020, after the repeal, the media is more professional than ever before. So I will continue with that negotiation, consultation, and engagement with the relevant authority, including our international partners, to see how best they can support the engagement for government to see the need. Yes, we need Counterterrorism Act, we need the Cybersecurity Act also, but we don't need any law that will limit press freedom. We don't need those laws. All we need now is progressive law. By the way, we've already submitted to the Attorney General the proposed Chapter 5 on press freedom, and sorry, Chapter 12 on press freedom, because like I said, all we need is progressive laws that will promote freedom of expression and press freedom, so that we can meet with international best standard. When we repealed the Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act, we saw exactly the Sierra Leone ranking when it comes to the International Press Freedom Index. From, I can't recall the figure, but we got the best ever in the history of Sierra Leone, 44 in 2022. But unfortunately, with the introduction of that cybercrime in 2023, we are rating gone up again to 74, and then to 64, and now we are at, I think it's 56 now. Currently it's 56. So we are making progress. So we don't need any laws that will take us back again to 74, 64, or 84. We want laws that will bring our international ranking to at least 20 in the 20s. We don't want to be even in the 30s. So we are calling on the government and the president for them to see how best they can support this repeal process and make sure that they enact laws that are progressive.
In this current generation, well, when Slaj was formed, there was nothing like bloggers. But in this generation, there are bloggers. How do the bloggers contribute or affect the work of journalists?
No, even us, the journalists, we are all bloggers. This space is there for us to make use. You know, currently, as I speak, we are reviewing the IMC Act of 2020, and which is part of the Tripartite Recommendation 76. And according to that recommendation, they raise issues on the performance of bloggers and social media during the 2023 elections, during and after the 2023 elections, particularly on the issue of promoting hate speeches. And they recommend that the Independent Media Commission comes up with regulations covering the operations of social media and bloggers. We are currently doing it. Like I said, today is the final day in the Western area. And quite recently, we also completed the media policy with the Ministry of Information and Civic Education, together with the Independent Media Commission and other media partners. And in that policy, again, there is a portion there that deals with the social media aspect. So once the Independent Media Commission completes the process of their review and Parliament enacts their acts, we'll take it from there, because there is no way we can do without the social media. You see now, even the mainstream media, they are all going online now, which is a new trend. So we need to regulate that aspect, because now we have the online television, we have the bloggers, like you said, and we have so many people that are doing things online. So we need to regulate that particular area, which is why we are working closely with the Independent Media Commission to get progressive laws, and also to make sure that the Independent Media Commission can perform its work effectively. I'm sure the only way we can discourage people from taking journalists to the police or the courts is when we have a vibrant and effective Independent Media Commission. That is what we are working on now.
Does your executive consider bloggers solid contributors to the media space to a point where, because in the previous executive which you served, membership drive was a key focus, opening the space so new people in the field or those who had been practicing longer as well could become members of the association. Are you considering opening up membership to the bloggers for Slaj?
It's really interesting to know that even the last membership drive that we took in 2024, we do accept some bloggers, including Sigakale. Sigakale who applied in 2024, and she went through the process because we knew her as a professional journalist. That's why initially I told her.
So was she accepted into Slaj as a journalist or
journalist
as a blogger?
A journalist blogger. Now the catch there is that there is no way we can accept you directly as a blogger because currently we don't have any law regulating bloggers or social media in Sierra Leone, except we use the Cyber Security and Crime Act. That one is for the security people. It is not for the Independent Media Commission that regulates the media. So that is why we are working closely with the IMC to see how best we can review the act to capture that aspect of social media. Once we complete the process and there is a particular clause there for the registration of bloggers and they complete the process of registering with the bloggers, they can be a member of Slaj. You can accept them. There's no way we can reject them, but for now we can't accept them directly because we don't have laws regulating social media. Because if, for example, a blogger has been taken to the criminal investigation department, you are expecting Slaj to be there because they are members. But for now, we can't accompany them because they are not regulated by the laws of the land.
Is that your individual perspective or the perspective of the executive or the perspective of the membership of Slaj?
That is the perspective of the membership of Slaj, that we only accept them after they are being regulated by the Independent Media Commission. But for now, there is no way we can accept them as members, directly as bloggers. If we know Fibiansul to be a journalist and a blogger, you can apply. You are qualified to be a member of Slaj because you are being regulated by the Independent Media Commission. By the way, it will interest you to know that the Liberty Online TV, they do go through the IMC for registration. They approach the Independent Media Commission for registration because they want to operate legally, and they are fully registered members of Slaj even before opening that particular platform.
Well, Haji, you campaigned on the acronym ACTION. When are you taking action?
I'm on it now. Like I said, even before the handing over, I've been working as the president. And the night after receiving the mantle of leadership, I traveled the very night to perform the duty of the president. And throughout this week, at least, I've been performing at least two functions per day throughout the week, at least. I'm here now. Immediately after this program, I'll be going to the Independent Media Commission to continue with the consultation exercise. And after that, again, there's another meeting again. And in the evening again, like you rightly said, AfriCell invited me to grace the official opening of the, how do you call that one? Housemate Salon Season 4. So you see, today I have at least 4 functions to perform as the president of Slaj. So I'm taking action. And again, mind you, applications are open for female journalists to apply for the digital literacy training at the Limpopo University. So I'm taking action.
You know, let's talk about capacitation for a while. You touched on that briefly just now when you talked about training, signing MOUs with different universities in the country to train journalists, to train communicators. Over the years, we've seen the advancement of communication in diverse spheres, you know, in terms of gadgets as well, you know, the paraphernalia generally we use, the institutions themselves, you know, the kinds of gadgets we now, you know, use to practice journalism in Sierra Leone. But much more is left to be desired, particularly from the people who call themselves journalists, you know. What do you think the problem is for the rise of sensationalism, for example, you know, and over-politicization of news contents online, you know, the deliberacy to share fake news in Sierra Leone? Where are all these deficiencies in communication coming from, and how can they be solved?
And you know, that is just human nature. You know, I'm sure you are aware of the fact that we've been conducting several trainings over there. Yeah. As I speak, the former president of Slaj with the financial secretary, they are in the province together with Talking Drum Studio, organizing trainings for journalists on election-sensitive reporting, a project that is being funded by EU through IDEA International. So we will definitely continue with training exercise. We will not relent to make sure that we get the journalists on board. Again, in March this year, we launched the National Fund for Public Interest Media. That particular project is to make sure we improve on independent journalism, professional journalism. We've launched the project, and members and media institutions have submitted their applications. We are at the tail end of the process. Very soon, we will announce the name of the winners of the first set of project, which is the media institution, capacitating the media institutions. And then after that, we'll go to the individual journalists that will be applying for funds to do independent stories. For example, the AYV media will want to do investigation on a mining company, or let's say the Ministry of Finance. You don't need funds from any other source other than independent fund. So you apply for the funds through the MRCG that is hosting that platform. There's a committee that will look into your application, then grants will be given to your institution to conduct an interview, investigative stories that will be shared with Slaj and then other partners. The funds will start something like 1,000 or 2,000 euro, depends on the story ideas. So all that we are doing all of those to make sure we professionalize the journalism profession. Mind you, journalism is a right-based profession. There is no way we can limit people from becoming journalists. We have citizen journalism. The only thing we can do is that we can limit people from becoming Slaj members. We scrutinize you before accepting you. So we have to be very mindful of that. So the issue of training will continue. Like I said, we've opened the application for our female journalists to be trained on digital literacy, because we are aware of the fact that they are being bullied online, particularly when we are going to elections. So we want to build their minds for them to know exactly how to counter short threats or whatever. So it will be done. My executive will work assiduously with other media partners to make sure that journalism becomes an everyday profession once more in the history of Sierra Leone. There is no way we can go down the line. Our focus is to take the bar higher, where President Monk leave off. But for now, let's see what will happen in the next couple of months.
When a barrister misbehaves, he or she is disbarred. A doctor misbehaves or commits any form of professional blunder, they are delicensed,
yes,
removed from the profession, suspended. Journalists in Sierra Leone are not licensed to operate.
Yes.
However, there is the IMC code that regulates the conduct, the ethics, the ethos and pathos of journalists and how they operate generally in the landscape. But it doesn't say anything about Slaj, penalizing journalists for misbehavior. We've seen instances in Sierra Leone where a lot of names have misbehaved, gravely so, but they go unpunished.
Slaj, we do penalize people. We've even expelled some members from Slaj. Yes, before now.
How often does that happen?
No, it depends on the recommendations of the dispatch committee. Whenever we receive complaints from members of the public or media colleagues, we forward the complaints to the Slaj dispatch committee. They will make recommendations to Slaj. Based on the recommendation, the executive will inform the membership. That is how we operate. We do have a system in place that punishes journalists. Sometimes we do admonish them to refrain from doing those things, because one thing I would say that we don't tolerate reckless journalism. No way. Of course, is to make sure that the journalism trade is enviable. The people that comes into Slaj, we make sure that they are professionals. If you are not, that is why before we give you the acceptance letter, we give you the commitment form that you will sign. You agree to all the terms and conditions, give you the acceptance letter. Once you go against those commitments, definitely disciplinary action will be taken against you as a member. And this disciplinary action will come from the recommendation from the disciplinary committee to the executive, and then we communicate that to the membership before pronouncing the final verdict.
Is there a clear definition of the phrase reckless journalism insofar as Slaj is concerned?
Yeah, there's no way Jones can go out there and then refer to someone as a thief without using the word alleged, because we can only refer to you as a criminal after being found guilty by the court of law. But for as long as you are before the court, we still refer to you as alleged, because you are innocent until proven guilty. But if persistently you are referring to someone as a criminal, or you are violating the Independent Media Commission Regulation Act, you've been summoned by the commission and you refuse to go there and they issue a penalty against you, you refuse to honor those penalties, that is reckless journalism. You should abide by the rules and regulations governing the profession. If you go against those rules, no, there's no way you can tolerate that. You can't be going around blackmailing people and then you think you are doing professional journalism. No, there is nothing like that.
Let's talk about the future of Slaj. Over the years, the number has ballooned tremendously. It has swelled. And there are more refined and educated minds now among the conglomerates, of whom I will refer to as mediated communicators, who had gone through the rigors, both academic and practical, that are now fit, to be called journalists in Sierra Leone. But before now, there was a debate, actually, whether students, should become part of Slaj and should be encouraged as an entry point into this prestigious association. Of course, we had gone to review the Constitution
in 2024.
And that's been removed, actually.
Yeah.
But though these things would continue to come up.
Yes.
What are your views?
Yes, like you said, we reviewed the Slaj 2014 Constitution in 2024 in Bo, and part of the recommendations submitted by the executive then was for us to have student members of Slaj with limited facilities, but the membership said no. Yeah. You are either a full-time member or an affiliate member. So they said we don't need anything like student journalists. I'm sure some people were thinking that the intention of the executive by then was to bloat the numbers because we were going to election, but that was not our intention. Our intention was to make sure that we catch them young at the university, so that once they become graduated, then they are full journalists. Because the truth is that most graduates from mass communication don't practice mainstream journalism. They go for the PR and other corporate work. They abandon the mainstream journalism. So that was our intention, to catch them at the university so that they can see the need for them to come after graduation into mainstream media and to develop the media. That was our intention, but the membership said no, and we are fine with that. But like you said, we'll continue to push for that. Maybe by the time we get the next review, the membership will accept the proposal to get student journalists. Yes, Slaj, we are moving ahead now. The total number of registered members, we are about 1,410, but actively we have a little bit over 600. And in the next few months, the Secretariat will issue a notice reminding members about the provisions of the Constitution that you should meet with your financial obligation, which if you fail to do within a year, you will lose your membership. And be rest assured that this executive will implement that provision, because what we realized during the last 6 months, we don't want to repeat that again moving forward. I mean, rest assured within the next couple of months we'll issue a statement informing members about their financial obligations. We have members in the Slaj membership data that are yet to pay their membership dues for over 15 years. They are still in membership data. So we need to clean the membership data to get fully paid up members. If you are not paid up for the last 1 or 2 years, please try to do so within the shortest possible time. But definitely the Secretariat will issue a notice to that effect.
Let's talk about welfare of journalists. For quite a number of journalists, the conditions of service with the institutions they work is very terrible.
They are appalling.
What is Slaj going to be doing about this, the new executive?
Okay, the issue of welfare is perennial. It has been with us like forever. And one thing we should be very mindful about is that the media ownership in Sierra Leone, I can say 80% of the media in Sierra Leone are being owned by us, the journalists. We own the media, and majority of them are one-man business. And when they go to the Independent Media Commission to review their license, they will present a list of their staff, and then some will even present NACIT contributions. Mind you, the IMC Act of 2020 contains two clauses. One that says you should not pay your journalists below the minimum wage, and then secondly, you should pay the NACIT contribution of all your staff. Now, my number one priority is that welfare of journalists is number one, particularly journalists, the reporters, in a sense that I don't want to see when we retire as reporters, then there is no benefit. That is exactly what is affecting our veterans now. Most of them, when they were active, their institutions were not paying their NACIT contribution for them, so they are not entitled to a pension. That is not what we want to see in the next 10, 15, 20 years. We want to see wherein Mr. Jones will retire with very good package and a monthly pension. So I have discussed with the Commissioner of Labour, who is my classmate at St. Edward's. Even before now, when I was the Secretary General in 2024, I organized a meeting between the Ministry of Labour and the Guild of Newspaper Editors at the Slaj Secretariat. They explained about the labour laws. And again, when the issue of the SLBC came up recently, I was part of the team that's engaged the Ministry of Labour again, and we discussed again the issue of welfare of journalists. Very soon, Slaj and the Ministry of Labour will conduct a nationwide consultation informing media owners about the labour laws. And definitely again, my executive will engage the Independent Media Commission on the issue of enforcing the Independent Media Commission Act, and also the NACIT, for them to make sure that the media houses do pay their NACIT contribution of their staff. Because it's unfair for you to work for 10, 15, 20 years, and then at the end of the day, you retire without anything. So the issue of journalists is my priority, and I will make sure within the next 3 years, by the grace of God, it will not be totally be, I will not say it will 100% be addressed, but be rest assured it will over 60% addressed.
Let's also talk about safety and security for journalists. Starting first with their institutions before going to the external publics. We've had instances where workers would have an issue with their institution. We also, not long ago, learned of the case of the SLBC staff in Makeni that had an issue with her institution, SLBC, that relates to the town hall meeting. Slaj also has a representation at IMC. That matter was at IMC. IMC seems to have ignored that complaint to a point where WIMSL and their legal team are now pushing to take this matter to the ECOWAS court. Where does Slaj sit in this, especially when she's also a female journalist?
She's a female journalist and also a Slaj member. Fiblam, like you rightly said, when we went to our annual general meeting in Bo in 2024, the membership resolved that the matter should be addressed by the Independent Media Commission. And I can recall, I think they've held, I think, 1 or 2 public hearings on the matter, one of which took place in Makeni. And the Vice President of Slaj then, Mr. Sajim Banga, represented Slaj in that hearing in Makeni. And then quite recently again, I engaged the Executive Secretary about the issue, and he told me that they were looking out for funds because whenever they organize those public hearings, they need enough resources to organize those hearings. And the legal man also informed us during our last AGM been to Monday that they have decided to take the matter to the ECOWAS court. And we are yet to engage with the IMC to know the way forward on that matter. Quietly, I'm discussing with Umu. We are discussing through WhatsApp on almost twice weekly. We are discussing and we are making progress. Yes, we do have a representation at the SLBC, and people are saying Slaj should have been on top of the situation, Slaj should have condemned the whole thing. Yes, but wherever we have representation, we do listen from our representation. The representation at the SLBC gave us updates, and we inform Umu and the membership of Slaj about what the representation at the SLBC told us by then. And now we are working closely with the IMC to see how best they can handle that issue, because it has to do with our safety and security, like you rightly said. I meant to understand that she's out of the country at the moment, and that is not good for us as a journalist. We are working closely with WIMSAL when whatever they want to do, we ensure that we do it within the ambit of the law. But for now, the case is still with the IMC until they give us another update. Again, quite recently, another staff of the AYV was assaulted by a personnel.
So now let's come to the external publics, because these were issues of journalists and the institutions they work for.
Yes.
Then we could now take it to the external factor, when journalists have confrontations or conflicts with members of the public. We've had a couple of such instances where journalists would either be physically assaulted by different members of the public. Very recently, it was the Sierra Leone police. We've had that situation twice. A journalist from AYV being assaulted. A few years ago, we had one of our colleagues that was assaulted. Today, he lost his front teeth. He lost a front tooth to that assault, something that could not be naturally repaired, obviously. And another journalist was again recently assaulted by the police. We've also seen beyond just AYV. A journalist, Thomas Dixon, had to go in hiding because of what he perceived to be threat from the Inspector General himself of Sierra Leone Police.
Yes.
How do you handle these instances?
Let me start with the issue of the AYV staff. I can authoritatively say that the matter is with the Independent Police Complaint Board. The outgoing president officially complained to them, and they are investigating the matter. They sent us an email informing us that they are on the investigation. And as the president now, I'll do a follow-up with that particular commission to see how best they've gone with that matter. Yes, Thomas Dixon, Amadou Lamran Abba, and Melvin Tijan Mansari, and a host of others have been faced with so many threats. And always, as usual, Slaj will condemn, and then we'll do a follow-up. Because
but what does your condemnation really
now
lead to?
Okay, now my own leadership style is very simple. During my campaign, I promised to set up a pool of lawyers that will be representing journalists across the country, not only in the court, but whenever we face such a situation, we need to test the laws this time around. So we have, because now we have a host of young lawyers who are also journalists. So I'll be utilizing their service to represent us. That is one of my new strategy that I'll be utilizing to make sure that threats and assault against journalists become a thing of the past, because it's undone for you to threaten me or you attack me because of what I say. If you believe that what I say is not correct, put out what you believe is correct. The space is there. There is no need for you to threaten the journalist. And be rest assured that there is no way I can keep back. When I was the Secretary General, I was issuing press releases against people in high authorities. Now, as the President, I'll continue to do that for as long as what you do is against the safety and security of the journalists, no matter what. People were saying because Slaj is receiving subvention from the government, then we'll pay lip service to whatever things that happen to journalists. That is wrong. Check the records. Since 2019 to date, we've issued the highest number of press releases against government and people in higher positions on the issue relating to the safety and security of journalists.
In a country
And
where
again,
the
please, a
leaders
moment,
would
please.
listen to press release or care about public opinion, you would say perhaps that strategy would continue to hold. But what are the results that these press releases have produced?
Okay, now let me give you one example. There's a journalist by the name of Munia Bawo in Kenema. He was assaulted by a police officer at the Kenema police station when he went to investigate a certain issue. They saw him holding his phone. They thought he was videoing, so they attacked him and they grabbed his phone. They complained to Slaj Eastern Region, and the Eastern Region complained to us. We did not only issue a press release, we officially wrote to the Inspector General complaining the police personnel. They conducted an investigation, and the police officer openly apologized to the journalists. He footed the medical bill and replaced all his gadgets, including his mobile phones. Again, there was a journalist again at Vopad Radio some years ago who was also attacked and assaulted by some military personnel. Similar thing was done. We issued press release, we officially complained to the military, and action was taken against the personnel. Most times we just issue this press release for members of Slaj and the public to know that we are aware of these things, and then we will continue with the investigation. That is how we operate.
But in the case of Melvin Tijan Mansari at Parliament,
yes,
what's the outcome of Slaj's intervention?
Okay, we condemn the acts when the incidents happen, and then we do follow-up consultation together with Melvin. And then I was in Parliament when Melvin apologized to the committee. And then after the apology, we met again, and they promised to officially write Slaj and Melvin Tijan Mansari. Just recently, after the election, Melvin called me and informed me that he's yet to resume official work again as a journalist within the well of Parliament. And I discussed with my Vice President yesterday that we should see how best when we are doing a courtesy call with Parliament, we engage him on the issue. Because, yes, Melvin have officially tendered apology to the committee and the Parliament. What next? You should come up with statements so that we can know exactly the position of Melvin Tijan Mansari. So, but that will be addressed when we are paying a courtesy call. Melvin will accompany us to Parliament, and then we discuss that issue again. Because it only came to my notice quite recently, like I said, that because I thought the issue has been resolved by the Parliament, and he has resumed work, but he's yet to resume work. So the rest assured that issue again, I'll take it up and it will come to an end very soon by the grace of God.
Let's understand, why was Melvin Tijan Mansari compelled to apologize, or why did he apologize?
Was
it because as an association you professionally found that he had gone overboard with the professional standards, or was it merely to appease the people who felt offended?
Let me make this very, very clear here. Melvin was not compelled to apologize. He was not compelled. In fact, Slaj was not aware about the decision until he himself read the letter inside Committee Room 1. I represented Slaj during that particular proceedings. I was with Melvin. I called him aside outside before the proceedings. I said, what's the way forward? And he said, wait for my statement. I never knew what was in his statement. He did not discuss that with me, neither did I was gone president of Slaj. I only get from him when he was speaking. So he was not compelled. Maybe he was compelled by some other factor, but not Slaj. Let me make that very, very clear. And we are discussing closely with him throughout the process. He never informed us that he will be apologizing on that particular day. I asked him after the whole thing, I said, are you sure what you did is correct? He said, yes, I did that because I'm convinced. I said, well, fine, because it's nice for you. If you decide to do so, well and good. But no one compelled him. His lawyer was there, Lawyer Rashid Doumbia was there with him. No one compelled Melvin to apologize. No one.
Haji, I wanted to ask this. I think I'd asked this before now. To what extent can Slaj go to protect its members? I mean, litigations, lawyers going to court, suing other people, suing institutions who trample upon the rights of journalists. In the case, for example, Melvin Mansour, I understand it's a very powerful institution, but we can make some noise.
Yes, initially I said my strategy is to get some pool of lawyers. Now we have a host of young lawyers who are also journalists. We can make use of their service to represent us and our members at the court. We also have very senior lawyers, including the chairperson at the Independent Media Commission. We have Musa Mera Amir. We have so many senior lawyers. We have Mustafa Sharif, Abubakar Sharif. We now have Elias Bangura, a host of them. And then we have a host of young lawyers. I can assure you that we have over 50 lawyers that are also Slaj members. So be rest assured that my executive will make use of those lawyers to represent our members, not only to defend them, but also to sue people who threaten our lives and family members. Let's
round off by talk about the finances of Slaj. You know, it's a big problem. Slaj, I was at the last gathering, and you know, even though we are not mandated to make money per se, but I mean, it's an institution of people. You know, where there is money, there is a will. Where there is will, there is money. Money turns the wheel of any association. Aside the subvention, all the source of revenues, membership dues, which is very, very minimal, 600 leones per year. And most times members do pay their dues when they want to vote. We get the highest number of members paying their dues during electionary years. So that is very challenging. Like you said, you are very correct. The auditors here in here, they always inform us about our finances, always. So as an executive, we are looking for ways of generating resources for the running of the secretariat, because the only thing aside the subvention, like I said, that we generate some funds is also the project that we operate, the operational cost. And those funds are not enough again, because mind you, we have 2 staff that are on salaries. The rest of the 28 executive members, we are all volunteers. 28 throughout the 3 years period, we are volunteers. None of us receive salaries from the subvention or any other source. The only thing we do sometimes is when we have some of those projects, the executive members will implement those projects. But aside, when we went for the annual general meeting in Bo in 2024, as an executive, part of the recommendation submitted to us by the officials from the ACC who are doing the system reviews of our secretariat, they recommended that we should be given stipend as an executive member. But when we traveled to Bo in 2024, the membership rejected it. We have no option but to accept the mandate of the membership, that we are a volunteer and will continue to be volunteer. We will continue to write projects to see how best we can continue with the operations of Slaj. Like again, during the last AGM in Bintumani, some members do suggest that we should have project decks wherein we hire the service of project officers that will be writing projects for Slaj. We are thinking about all those things. Like I said, we have so many new committees within the Slaj Constitution that's now operational. Moving forward, there will be a change. There will be some changes within Slaj when it comes to finances. What, maybe you would like to? Yes, you know, I think we'll go for some messages, and afterwards I'll just close with this question.
Okay. We do have some messages here, just 3 of them. Thomas Rogers says, "Congratulations, Mr. President. I appreciate your remarks, but I'd like to share my concerns. I don't believe bloggers should automatically be considered journalists. Many bloggers share information without proper verification or credible sources, and that can lead to misinformation, which can seriously affect the people of Sierra Leone. If bloggers want to be part of professional bodies like Slaj, they should first go through proper training and meet certain standards. Journalism is a profession that comes with responsibility, and we need to make sure anyone who carries that title is fully prepared to uphold it." Swissman says, Swissman, you cracked me with this. Okay. Mystic Dwozak says, good to hear from the new Slaj president. I want to wish him well in his administrative duties at Slaj, Sierra Leone. Momo Joanna says, the media landscape is growing in the country. What are your plans to bring more investors and investment in the industry? Edwina John says, government pressure on media houses and journalists, especially those critical of the state, continues in various forms. Journalists sometimes face intimidation, harassment, arrests, or legal threats for exposing corruption or criticizing public officials. State broadcasters may still show bias, especially during elections, giving less space to independent or opposition voices. What are you going to do to fight against harassment? Mystic Dwozak says, Slaj Sierra Leone, the welfare and safety of media practitioners are key. Over the years, their welfare and safety have been a serious concern. Secondly, the production cost media institutions are spending is alarming, especially the print media. I hope Slaj Sierra Leone will have a big partnership with corporate institutions in the country. Swissman says, I want to know if journalists have a medical insurance, unemployment benefit, and social security if someone falls ill or in an accident while the person is on active service. Edwina John says, despite the repeal of the criminal libel law in 2020, other laws like parts of the Cybersecurity and Crime Act are now being used to target journalists. Slaj struggles to fully protect journalists from the selective application of laws, especially when political interests are involved. Swissman says, I would like to know if journalists have the right to summon the Sierra Leone police if a journalist is being assaulted or deliberately bitten to death. And is there any act in the Constitution that gives journalists the right to react whenever ugly situations occur between the Sierra Leone police and journalists? Mandowa Manchester says, you've not answered the question, what your condemnations have led to. Fabian, you need to rephrase this question so this man can give an answer. What action can they put in place when a police officer assaults a journalist? Mark 10, New Englandville says, the allegations against Melvin are unfounded, retaliatory and maligned on his professional reputation. As a well-known TV personality and analyst, Melvin has consistently approached his political commentary in an impartial and independent manner, contributing constructively to public discourse on national issues. Swissman says, Mr. President, having a lawyer is not a stress. The position of journalist is clear. I think journalists should have the right to summon any police officer that insulted them whenever they are in their rightful duty. I'll round off with Edwina John, who says, Slaj should push for media reforms and engage in legislative advocacy, partner with civil society and the Bar Association to challenge unjust laws, build a legal defense fund, and strengthen alliances with international press freedom watchdogs, strengthen public awareness campaigns to hold both the government and the media accountable. Tons of messages there, but I apologize to the others for not reading out your messages. Your response?
Okay, Fiba, thank you very much. Thanks to the Texans for their messages. Let me start with the media reforms. We've been doing that over the years, and definitely we'll continue to do that with all relevant partners, including the Bar Association, civil society activists, and all other relevant partners. That is our responsibility, because every day new things emerge, so we need to continue with the reforms. On the issue of Melvin again, yes, we'll continue to engage Parliament because, like I said earlier on, Melvin have tendered his official apologies to Parliament. So what else? So continue to engage him so that they can give him again his access to the House of Parliament for him to continue with his work as a journalist. Actions against police officers. we've been, I'm sure I explained exactly what we are doing currently relating to the issue of the AYV reporter. The matter is before the Independent Police Complaint Board. We are following on the investigation. They are currently investigating the matter, despite issue out a press release, but we are also following the matter quietly with the Independent Police Complaint Board. And the outcome will definitely be communicated to members of the public also, not only the AYV, but members of the public as well. On the protection and security of journalists, that is our ultimate priority as Slaj, to make sure that journalists have a conducive environment to practice their trade. Because when Slaj was formed in 1971, the fundamental principles was to ensure press freedom and freedom of expression, that we protect our members, we make sure we build their capacity. So there is no way we can shy away from protecting the journalists. Definitely, my executive will renew the MOU we signed in 2022 with the security sector, including the ONS, the Sierra Leone Police, the military, and the correctional service. And once we complete that again, I'm sure we'll include so many things in that MOU, because as I speak, we have a platform under the Media Reform Coordinating Group where the civil society, the journalists, and the security sector, we discuss issues and we plan the way forward, because we are all doing our work variously in the interest of Sierra Leone. Our responsibility is to educate and inform members of the public. The security sector is to make sure they protect and provide security. So we all collaborate together in the interest of Sierra Leone. So definitely I will engage again the IG and the relevant authority to see how best we can renew the MOU on the safety and security of journalists. The other question, the medical, the medical insurance. Yes, just recently, a staff from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation informed me that they've developed a policy that whenever you want to take a journalist, a reporter, out of Freetown, you need to sign a commitment form. That is something I intend to introduce to all the media houses. I will definitely engage all the media house owners to see how best they can develop similar policy. If you want to take a journalist out of Freetown, you must do some undertakings. If anything happens, the family of that journalist must benefit something. We just lost our brother, David, and the lady, Emily. What else? So that's a very genuine concern. But on the area of the insurance, we are pushing the media houses and the NACIT to make sure they enforce the law against media and they penalize media houses that are defaulting to pay for their members the required fees. Recently, again, I was with the outgone president at the National Revenue Authority to beg on behalf of media houses that are not renewing their license. But I'm sure most of them have complied now, and we are moving forward. Governments again, yes. It's a continuous process. We are observing now, particularly so that we are gradually approaching the 2028 election. The tension have started mounting. That is why we always call on our members, when you are going out to cover particularly political activities, always try to be journalist. Your responsibility is to report, is to inform, not to participate in the process. You are not a politician. If you want to be a politician, go there as a politician. But if you are going there as a journalist, make sure you operate professionally. No matter what, if even someone in the office of the president threatens a journalist, Slaj will condemn, and then we officially write and complain that person to the president. Recently, we received a complaint again when the fire incident occurred at State House. We received complaint from AYV and political newspaper. We officially wrote a letter to the chief minister, and he summoned us to a meeting. We discussed that, and they're investigating the matters. So, definitely, no matter your position, no matter the person, if you threaten a journalist, we'll definitely call you out. Definitely. I will encourage members of the public to visit our Slaj Facebook page and see the press releases that we've issued against people in high authorities. We don't care. For as long as what you do is against the life and safety of journalists, we'll call you out. Our responsibility is to protect our journalists. That is our responsibility. And it is the responsibility of the government to support media development. It is the responsibility of the government. I will encourage members of the public again to read the TRC report, because most time people always say we should not receive subvention from the government. It is their responsibility to support media development. Mystic raised the issue of the cost of production. It is very, very high, the cost of production. It is not a secret, it is very, very high. So my executive, we are planning to see how best we can engage the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Trade to see how best we can engage the importers of those items. You can't imagine newsprint. I recall there was a time we used to buy newsprint 250 leons. Now it's over 1,000 leons. It's very, very expensive. And a copy of newspaper is just 2,000 leons. You can't rely on the newspaper for your daily production. Even the advert that is the lifeline of the media are not forthcoming. Yes, we say kudos to the Mercury International, Africell, Orange, and other partners that are supporting the media with adverts. Government is the biggest advertiser, but also the biggest debtor to the media. So we will continue to call them out, to continue to encourage them to support the media. The subvention we are receiving from government is not for the running of the Sierra Leone media. It's for the operation of Slaj and affiliate bodies, not for salary or stipend for the executive members.
Okay.
And on the issue of bloggers, again, I said it earlier on that we will only recognize the bloggers as, or start accepting them as members of Slaj after the completion of the Independent Media Act review and enactment by Parliament. Then we'll take it from there. But for now, there is no way we can accept, for example, Mr. Jones here, we just know you as a blogger, and then you apply to be a member of Slaj. We can't accept you for now because we don't have any law regulating your operation as a blogger.
Right. Well, thank you very much indeed. President of the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, Alhaji Manika Kamara. We wish you well in your endeavor as president. May you lead well.
Amen. Amen. Reverend Jones, thanks for the prayer.
Indeed.
At this point, we're taking a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue the other segment of the program. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.